Despite new life at the quarterback position, the Patriots are regressing. We examine the coaching situation here on Pat's Cast. Welcome to Pat's Cast. I'm Brad Whitaker. Visit expressvpn.com/PatsCast to get 3 months off of a 12-month annual VPN plan. Again, that is expressvpn.com/PatsCast. And we all know the New England Patriots right now are a 1-5 football team, and you felt pretty good after week 1 when they picked up the lone victory. You know, it was a Bill Belichick-style victory. They had inferior personnel compared to the Cincinnati Bengals, but Drake Maye, Alex Van Pelt, DeMarcus Covington all did a great job at putting together a run-heavy game plan containing Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals offense. They were the better conditioned team. They were more physical, more aggressive, didn't turn the ball over, limited mistakes, and it was a perfect game plan, perfectly executed, and you came out of that game going, all right, maybe Drake Maye knows what he's doing. Maybe this Alex Van Pelt thing is going to work out. DeMarcus Covington fits like a glove at defensive coordinator. And then all the Patriots have done is regress ever since. They were okay against the Seattle Seahawks in hindsight, but we all know what happened against the Jets, against the Niners, against the Dolphins, and giving up 40-plus points to the Houston Texans this past week. And although I think the offense might be improving, not just because Drake Maye's out there, I think the offensive line has looked significantly better these last couple of weeks, especially this past week, with a little over a 30% pressure rate, which still not great, but that's like a mediocre offensive line, so I'll take that compared to what we were getting. Still a lot of struggles there on offense. So why don't we start with Alex Van Pelt, and I'm going to give him some compliments at first before I get to the defense, which is the real problem right now. But give Alex Van Pelt credit because Drake Maye was ready to go. Should he have started week 5 against the Dolphins? Sure. Should he have started week 1 against the Bengals? I think so. And a lot of this has to do with Greg Bedard's assessment of Drake Maye coming out of his rookie starting debut, which he did not have a lot of nice things to say about Drake Maye relative to the rest of the Boston sports media. He had him for 11 positive plays, which is the most of any quarterback so far this season, but also had him for 17 negative plays, which is also the most for a quarterback this season. Now, I don't necessarily agree with the way Greg Bedard does these assessments. Like, I think one negative play was Drake Maye had like an 11-yard gain on the ground, but there was a 20-yard pass that was open downfield. He called that a negative play. I don't necessarily agree with that, but he does have a standard that he's applied to every quarterback, including Bailey Zappi, including Brady, including Newton, including Mac Jones in New England. And by his standard, Drake Maye had a ton of good plays, but even more bad plays, the most by a Patriots quarterback in quite some time. I don't necessarily agree with that because I think the splash plays compensate for the bad plays, but hey, turning the football over 4 times on offense is not a great look, regardless of if, you know, 1 or 2 of those turnovers were not necessarily Drake Maye's fault. Although I do think the strip sack, the more I look at it, the more I think that is Drake Maye's fault. But overall, there is some excitement, there is some energy to what's going on in New England. But I think Greg Bedard, part of the reason he was not happy with Drake Maye is he said, we're not seeing that much of a different quarterback than the guy that we saw at North Carolina. And I don't know what you were expecting, Greg, to be honest, because you know, I think his footwork is better. I think his mechanics are slightly better than they were in college. His processing speed is significantly better, and obviously he's able to get in and out of the huddle, make pre-snap adjustments that he really didn't have to do in college. And Drake Maye has managed to pick that up, although he almost fumbled the ball once this past week, which has been a problem quite a bit since Drake Maye has entered the NFL. But I don't know why there was this expectation that Drake Maye was suddenly going to have 100% polished footwork. You really have to sit him for an entire year if you're going to make that happen and turn him into a completely different quarterback. You're not going to do that 5 weeks into the NFL season. That's just the truth. That's why I've been saying either you start Drake Maye week 1 because he is the better quarterback and gives the team a better opportunity to win, or you make the decision during the preseason, this guy isn't going to play a single snap at all, get a veteran backup, and sit him the entire year. That way you can polish his mechanics and make sure his footwork is 100% before he gets put in there. I'm more of the get the rookie reps right away, sink or swim, let him learn on the fly, and learn from his mistakes and understand that Drake is a quarterback that gets better as the game goes on and gets better with experience. I do agree with Greg Bedard that if you are going to throw Drake Maye out there week 6, who's not 100% polished, you might as well have just started him week 1. That's kind of what I've been saying all along. But Greg obviously has his objective standards, and Alex Van Pelt had a plan for Drake Maye. I think it's pretty well known at this point he did not want Drake Maye to start. He was the last person in the room to want Drake Maye to start, but once you had unanimous agreement among everybody else, Alex Van Pelt kind of had to go along with it, and that's why we saw Drake Maye out there week 6. But hey, look, he's an NFL-ready quarterback. He was the number 3 overall pick for a reason. There's a lot of mechanical and footwork issues and things that he has to get better at, but I mean, at this point, this season is a lost cause, and a lot of that has to do with Alex Van Pelt and his lack of creativity on offense. You know, you can't have these constant situations where you run the ball on first down, you gain a yard. You run the ball on second down, you gain a yard. And then you have Drake Maye or Jacoby Brissett out there with a 3rd and 8 situation and expect them to convert. I mean, I like Drake Maye because 3rd and long, he's going to be able to convert with his legs or make plays when the play breaks down. There's a lot that Drake Maye can do that Jacoby Brissett cannot. But there are situations that Alex Van Pelt has put this offense in where they do start off the game slowly, aren't able to do a lot, they find themselves in a hole, and then they have to abandon the run, abandon the game plan as a whole, and just open up the passing game. And that's what they had to do this past Sunday against the Houston Texans. I'm sure the Patriots wanted to run the ball a lot more, but they were down 14-0 immediately in the first quarter, and now you have to have Drake Maye out there throwing 30-plus passes, and I think that can work with Maye. I think you can be a passing-first team with Drake Maye, but I don't think that's what they envisioned, and this is a team that is built to run the football, in all honesty. But I think Alex Van Pelt really has struggled, even though I think the offensive line is getting better. I think there has been a lot of conservative approaches to starting the game, and Kayshon Boutte, of all people, kind of indirectly called Alex Van Pelt out for this in his post-game press conference on Sunday, saying we need to be more aggressive out of the gate. Now, I don't think he was directly criticizing Van Pelt, but the message was sent, and I don't necessarily disagree with Kayshon Boutte. Should he be saying that? No, he shouldn't. He should shut his mouth like most players, but this is the new Gerard Mayo regime where players can speak a lot more openly, and Boutte's not wrong. Patriots have to figure out what their identity is on offense. And the issue with Alex Van Pelt is he came in here trying to implement the wide zone, the stretch offense, a West Coast offense, and realized very quickly he does not have the players or personnel to make that happen. So now he's trying to find some weird happy medium between the power run duo gap Patriots of old and this new stretch wide zone offense that they're trying to run, and then he has bootlegs that come off of that wide zone, but if the Patriots can't execute those plays, then the bootleg is kind of pointless. So then he's mixing in traditional play action, coming off of the power run, and the offense is kind of all over the place, and the Patriots don't really know what they're doing. That's been the biggest issue with Alex Van Pelt, and there's been really this drive among the Patriots organization ever since Bill Belichick promoted Matt Patricia to the de facto offensive coordinator to implement more of a Kyle Shanahan West Coast style offense, but it just doesn't work with the players that the Patriots have. And Mike Onwenu is the type of guy you want for the old school Patriots offense, not necessarily what Alex Van Pelt is trying to do. So he's trying to strike this odd balance, but they have Mike Onwenu on contract for many more years now, and he's underperformed because he's not in the position to play to the best of his abilities. And it leads me to the question, why didn't you just bring Josh McDaniels back or somebody that's going to run something at least familiar to this Patriots offense instead of just trying to mix and match like Alex Van Pelt has been doing these last few weeks? Doesn't make a lot of sense. That said, the trajectory of the offense is much better. You have Drake Maye out there. You have a beat-up offensive line. We have no idea who's starting at left tackle this Sunday in London. However, The pass protection's been significantly better. Drake Maye had a lot more time to throw the football than Jacoby Brissett did, but Jacoby Brissett had a lot more time to throw the football in week 5 than he did weeks 2 through 4. So things are progressing. They are getting better. And with a healthy offensive line, whenever that happens, maybe not till next year, it is a bit encouraging, especially with Drake Maye, who's going to be able to compensate for the mistakes that offensive line is making, for his lack of weapons at receiver, although I think that is a bit overblown. I think the Patriots have better receivers than they get credit for. But the truth is, we need this to be a 20-plus points a game scoring offense, maybe higher than that, or else Alex Van Pelt might lose his job at the end of the year. And that would be a tough situation. We're talking about huge turnover now at the offensive coordinator spot since Josh McDaniels left. Matt Patricia, Bill O'Brien, and now you have Alex Van Pelt, whose job may be on the line at the end of the season. Now, things are improving, so I'm not as worried about that. There is this idea going around the Boston sports media that you should fire Alex Van Pelt mid-season, take Ben McAdoo, who's on the offensive staff, make him the offensive coordinator where he's had success before, and move forward that way. As much as that sounds like a good plan, we are not the New York Jets. We should not be turning over the coaching staff mid-season at this point, especially for a rebuilding team. The Jets are trying to contend for a Super Bowl. This is a rebuilding year for the Patriots. Don't do anything like that. See what the final product is for Alex Van Pelt at the end of the season, and then assess it that way. But it just ultimately, I know the Patriots wanted to hire Nick Caley, but Nick Caley probably would have tried to do the same thing as Alex Van Pelt. Maybe he would have been a little bit more creative out there in terms of play calling, but again, I don't know why you just didn't bring back Josh McDaniels. I'm sure he would have wanted to come back. Wouldn't have costed you a dime because the Las Vegas Raiders, I think, are paying him for another couple seasons. It made a lot of sense, and that will be a real assessment at the end of the season if Alex Van Pelt continues to struggle as the offensive coordinator. But like I said, trajectory is up for the offense, so giving him a pass right now, but overall, offense needs to be a lot better. But the real issue right now for the Patriots is the defensive side of the football and the fact that they can't stop the run. We know the Patriots have good defensive backs. Christian Gonzalez is already one of the best cornerbacks in the entire NFL. He should make the Pro Bowl this year. He should be an all-pro consideration if he continues to play the way he has been playing. Jonathan Jones struggled quite a bit this past week, but not a bad number 2 guy. Marcus Jones has looked better than expected. The Patriots are pretty good at the safety position. Even with all the injuries and the Jabril Peppers situation, they're pretty good with their DBs. The issue is the linebacker spot, and we're starting to see right now just how valuable having Juwan Bentley out there was, because they can't stop the run at all. Again, almost 200 yards each of the last 2 games against teams that have struggled to run the football. And I know the Texans got Joe Mixon back this week, so that certainly helped, but the run fits, they do not make a lot of sense. Jelani Tavai has underperformed, and Raekwon McMillan has just been terrible out there, in all honesty, and probably would not start or even be on an NFL roster for most defenses in this league. So I don't know what they should do there, but here's the thing. For the run fits, DeMarcus Covington used to be a linebackers coach, an outside linebackers coach, but this is a guy who should be able to fix this right away. And Jerod Mayo, I don't want him going anywhere near the offense this week because he's a guy that played linebacker. He should know where the problems are and be able to fix it. And the fact that the Patriots weren't able to address that between the Miami game and the Houston game really worries me quite a bit. And if there's one thing that Bill Belichick was great at, and Bill Belichick was great at a lot of things, but it was the run fits, getting his defense ready to stop the run. He always made sure to have one of the most physical teams in the NFL out there. And how do you judge a physical team? A team that can run the football on offense and a team that can stop the run on defense. And right now on offense, the Patriots are really struggling to run the ball, whether or not Ramondre Stevenson is out there. And certainly on defense, their biggest issue right now is stopping the run. And look, I think Jerod Mayo has, at the very least, a 2-year grace period as head coach. You look at what's happened with Campbell and with the Detroit Lions. I think they won 1 or 2 games his rookie year as head coach, but they were building on something at the end of the season. And now you see who the Detroit Lions are out there. They're one of the best teams in the NFL. They're going to give that same grace to Jerod Mayo. But if things aren't improving and if they continue to regress, I don't know how much more they can regress, but if they continue to regress on the defensive side, well, then certainly DeMarcus Covington is going to be on the hot seat by the end of the season. And this is a guy who did a really great job coaching the defensive line and did a great job, won a Super Bowl when he was coaching the linebacker position. They should be making week-to-week adjustments, and we just have not seen that. We have not seen that as much on the offensive side as we should with the lack of creative play calling. And the defensive side, they just seem to be getting worse at stopping the run. I do think the defensive backs have been playing a little bit better, so give them credit for that, but they're not generating much of a pass rush outside of Keion White, who has been kind of all over the place and has been, going for sacks and not sticking to the game plan and playing in his correct spots. So that's, I think, the biggest issue right now, and my biggest worry about Jerod Mayo as head coach is you are not seeing those week-to-week adjustments, and every week teams get more film on the Patriots. So yeah, they looked great and well-coached week one, but now teams have film on the Patriots, and they have more and more film as the weeks accumulate, and they continue to put in a strong game plan that's going to attack those weaknesses, which is stopping the run, and Patriots haven't been able to adjust, and that's, I think, the biggest critique of Jerod Mayo and certainly DeMarcus Covington at this point, is they cannot stop the run, and things need to start looking better because, Jacksonville, they can run the football. They have a quarterback that can certainly run the football. They have good running backs. And I don't know if it's going to look better this Sunday because they haven't been able to make those adjustments. But we'll see. Like I said, the offense is on a positive trajectory. The defense is on a vastly negative trajectory at this point. So we need to see more out of Jerod Mayo. He needs to be coaching that defense up alongside DeMarcus Covington, figuring out ways, figuring out the correct run fits, and making sure that they are not giving up 200 yards on the ground each game. They shouldn't be topping 100 yards defensively. It just should not happen. For a Patriots team that's built this way, that is built defensive first, they should not be giving up 41 points. I don't care if it's the Houston Texans. I don't care if the offense turns the ball over 4 times. You can't let that happen. So, hot seat, DeMarcus Covington, probably on it already. Alex Van Pelt's been on the hot seat, I think, the last few weeks, but they do seem to be getting better. Jerod Mayo, going to have a longer grace period than those guys, but we need to see that coaching actually look effective when we see them on the playing field. And so far, things have just gotten worse. So, look, we're missing Bill Belichick at this point because I'd like to think, as bad as the Patriots looked last year, they would not have allowed 200 yards on the ground each of the last 2 weeks if Bill Belichick were still the head coach. And you thought, having DeMarcus Covington and Jerod Mayo as the head coach, you'd have some defensive continuity, but we're starting to see those gaps between Belichick and having a rookie head coach and a rookie defensive coordinator, and it may lead to some turnover at the end of the season. But again, I don't think the Patriots should be firing anyone until we get to the end of the season. Jerod Mayo is definitely not going to get fired. If they lose every game the rest of the way, Jerod Mayo is going to remain as the head coach. But they're going to have to assess Alex Van Pelt, and they're going to have to assess DeMarcus Covington, and then ultimately assess Jerod Mayo next season if the team continues to struggle, especially on the defensive side of the football, where there really shouldn't be any problems. The Patriots have depth at all of their positions. Even if Tavai and McMillan have struggled, they should still be able to stop the run and tackle. These are NFL players, and this is just getting pathetic at this point. So we have to see the coaching actually look a lot better in the coming weeks, and not just situational coaching. We know there's going to be struggles there. We know Alex Van Pelt has had trouble handling the 2-minute drills at the end of halves, giving the team the ball with a minute left where you should be running out the clock. He almost did it again this week, but was saved by a deep shot from Drake Maye. It has to be better all around the board, and it just hasn't been. Even the special teams, which has been kind of the highlight of this team all season long, they can't return the football. There's a reason the Houston Texans were kicking the ball right to the goal line every time, because they knew the Patriots couldn't get past the 20-yard line. Maybe call a fair catch there if that's going to be the situation, or just let it bounce into the end zone. I don't know, but even the special teams is struggling right now, so this was to be expected, right? You have a lot of young coaches there for the Patriots. They're going to have a lot of growing pains. Ideally, a full year of experience. This coaching staff comes back, figures out where their errors were, especially Drake Maye, and continues to improve. But as of right now, 6 weeks into the NFL season, the coaching really has only gotten worse. So we need to see things get better. But curious to hear from you in the comments. If you're watching on YouTube, please leave a comment. What do you think what do you think the Patriots should do offensively? Are you satisfied with Alex Van Pelt? Do you think things are getting better? Are you satisfied with DeMarcus Covington and Drake Maye? Curious to hear from you. Let me know what you think they should do this season, what they should do at the end of the season. Do you wish Josh McDaniels were back, as I've been saying many times? Let me know in the comments below. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, or subscribe if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We'll be back soon with more New England Patriots coverage.
Sidelines, nights and day. Winds of pressure can't blow away. Van Pelt's playbook got the fans in rage. Covington's defense feels like a cage. Pats can't scream and hear our plight. Coaches struggle to fade in light. Victory's distant in the lonely night. Play calls falter on the line. Hopes and dreams seem so confined. Crowd's frustration, a thunderous roar. Limits push the longing for more. Pats can't scream and hear our plight. Coaches struggle to fade in light. Victory's distant in the lonely night. Leo's got his heart in pain. Van Pelt's got a broken chain. Covington searching for the flame. Pat's cast calling out their name. Practice field, the battlefield too. Sweat and tears for something true. Whistles blow up.